Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. I still remember the way Lena used to smile at me, like I was her entire world. That crooked grin, always a little late to her eyes, used to feel like sunlight breaking through a storm. But if you ask me now what it meant, I'd tell you this. It was rehearsed. And I was too damn blind to see it. We were 2 years into our marriage when everything started to unravel, quietly, like wood rotting from the inside. We met late in life, both in our mid-30s, and bonded fast over long nights at the architecture firm we worked at. She was magnetic, beautiful in an understated, elegant way, the type who wore confidence like perfume. She spoke often about wanting a simple life, kids, a dog, a garden. And when we got married, she left her job and became a homemaker. She made it seem like her dream, and I believed her. She kept the house immaculate. I'd come home to dinners I never asked for, the smell of lemon polish, her voice humming faintly from the kitchen. At first, it was charming. Then it became almost too perfect, like she was painting a picture she knew I'd stare at for years to come. Still, I was happy. At least I thought I was. We were trying for a baby, or so she said. Month after month, she'd tell me it just wasn't happening. I never pushed too hard. She seemed heartbroken each time. What I didn't realize was that her heartbreak wasn't over a baby. It was about the man she couldn't stop seeing behind my back. It started the night I left my office late. A co-worker, Mira, had dragged me to an unplanned dinner party. I texted Lena to ask if she was okay with it. She responded sweetly, saying I deserved a break, told me to have fun, and even offered to warm up food for me when I got home. I smiled at her text. Thought, God, I married the best woman alive. And then I saw her. On my way home, walking past the quiet stretch of 5th and Dover, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure under the amber glow of a street lamp. She was laughing, head tilted back, hand tangled with someone else's. My Lena, with a man I didn't recognize. They didn't see me. I stood hidden behind a bus shelter, heart in my throat, every breath caught like a fishhook in my ribs. It wasn't just the hand-holding. It was her face, that same crooked smile. Only this time, it reached her eyes. My world splintered. I staggered home like a man walking underwater. Everything she ever said about love, loyalty, building a family, it all rang hollow now like a bell cracked down the center. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't even mention it. I just sat in the dark while she slept beside me like nothing had happened. But something had. Something irreversible. The following days were a nightmare in slow motion. I started noticing things I had previously dismissed. Password changes. Mysterious new lingerie tucked in drawers she never used. Sudden interest in skincare products she used to call overpriced snake oil. Subtle, but together, damning. One morning, while she was in the shower, she left her phone unlocked. A rare mistake. I wish I could say I hesitated, that I was noble, but I wasn't. My fingers moved on instinct, and within seconds, I found everything. Every lie. Text messages, sweet, seductive, naked in their intimacy. Photos of the two of them, cuddled together on hotel beds, sharing desserts, sun-drenched selfies from rooftop bars. My wife, glowing in the arms of someone else. Then, the worst of it, a conversation about an upcoming weekend getaway. A luxury spa trip to celebrate 1 year together. 1 year. I sat in our living room, watching the woman I loved melt into pixels on a screen, whispering sweet nothings to someone else. I felt gutted, hollowed out. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to trace every memory back to the moment she stopped loving me. The next morning, Lena kissed me on the cheek and mentioned she'd be visiting her old friend, Tasha, on Wednesday. I nodded, pretending not to know. She was glowing, vibrant in a way I hadn't seen in months. Now I knew why. I smiled, said I hoped she had fun. Inside, I was already planning how I'd destroy her world. I took the next day off work, claiming I had a dental emergency. She left early, suitcase in hand, perfume clinging to her like a ghost. I stood at the window, watching her walk away, every step a lie. When her checking-in text arrived that afternoon, Tasha says hi. So good to catch up. I responded with a thumbs up. Pretended I was busy at the office. Meanwhile, I'd already hired a private investigator. He'd been tailing her since she left. At 7:42 p.m., he sent me the first photo. Lena poolside, wrapped in a robe, glass of wine in hand. And beside her, the same man I saw on the street that night. They were kissing. I stared at the photo for hours. It wasn't just betrayal. It was obliteration. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger wearing her skin. The next morning, she texted again. Hey love, hope you're eating okay. My card's not working. Can you transfer some money? That's when I flipped the switch. I replied, it's not working because I disabled it. Ask your boyfriend to pay for it. Her reply was immediate and filled with fake confusion. What? I told you I'm with Tasha. Why would you say something like that? I laughed out loud. Bitter, low, the sound of a man who'd finally stopped bleeding and started sharpening knives. And that's when I began building the most painful, personal revenge I could think of. One that would unravel her perfectly manicured lies strand by strand, until she was standing barefoot in the wreckage she created. Her texts kept coming. Lena was unraveling faster than I expected. Leo, what the hell is going on? I stared at the screen. Leo, that was my name. The man she vowed to honor, to build a life with. And now she was texting me from a hotel bed she shared with another man, asking me to fund her betrayal. I let her sweat. The private investigator, Noel, had delivered goldmine. Photos, receipts, even a discreet video clip from the hotel restaurant. Lena, wearing that floral red dress I bought her for our anniversary, feeding a forkful of steak in her lover's mouth while he kissed her wrist. The man's name was Chase Dalton, a mid-level executive from a tech company across town. Married. 2 kids. He was 41. Slim. Polished. A cliché of temptation in a blazer. And he had absolutely no idea who he was screwing with. I didn't respond to Lena for hours. I wanted the silence to eat her alive. Around midnight, she called. I declined. She called again. I declined again. And then, my phone buzzed once more. A voicemail. Her voice trembled. Leo, I don't know what's going on. I didn't mean to lie. I didn't want you to worry. I'm not with Tasha. I needed time alone. Please call me back. I love you. I played it twice. The second time I laughed. You love me? The way a vulture loves a dying animal. Maybe. I texted back coldly. I already know where you are. I've seen everything. Enjoy your last night. No reply. And that's when I started preparing. That weekend, I moved out. I had spent weeks quietly transferring essentials, documents, my laptop, heirlooms, everything that mattered, into a storage locker I paid for in cash. The apartment we once called home, it felt tainted, like the scent of her perfume had sunk into the walls. I left an envelope on the dining table. Inside, divorce papers, screenshots, a letter. It simply read, I'm not the fool you thought I was. Leo. Then I left. Silent. Controlled. No tears. By Monday, she was back. I knew the second she walked into that empty apartment and saw the note. My phone rang immediately. I didn't answer. Then again. And again. I let her torment build. At 3:15 p.m., she left a voice message, anger seeping through fake innocence. Leo, this is cruel. You just left. You didn't even talk to me. You're being dramatic. Over nothing. Nothing. The word made my blood boil. I answered the next call. My voice was ice. You lied to me for over a year. Slept in my bed while loving another man. And now you want to tell me this is dramatic? She started crying. Softly at first. Then louder. Manipulative. I didn't mean for it to happen. You were always so distant lately. I felt alone. Chase listened to me. There it was. The switch. The part where she made me the villain in her story. I smiled. Distant. Lena, I worked late nights to pay for that spa you used to cheat on me. Silence. Then she whispered. So this is it? I didn't respond. Leo, please, she begged. Let's talk. In person. Please. Just hear me out. You don't deserve a conversation. I replied coldly. You deserve consequences. And I hung up. The next step was Chase. I wasn't going to leave him untouched. No. That man built his house on my broken promises. And it was time to burn it down. I met his wife, Charlotte Dalton, 3 days later. I dressed casually. Clean. Presentable. I showed up at her yoga studio during her lunch break, waited respectfully outside. Hi. I said softly when she stepped out, sipping green juice. Are you Charlotte Dalton? She paused, wary. Yes. I'm Leo Hart. I'm Lena's husband. Her face drained of color. 10 minutes later, we were sitting on a bench under an old oak tree in the park. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I just handed her a sealed envelope. Inside, everything. She flipped through it. Photos, messages, hotel bookings. The last page was a note I'd written in block letters. He's been cheating on you with my wife for over a year. Charlotte didn't cry. She just whispered. I thought it was just me. That I was crazy. I nodded slowly. You weren't. And then I stood. I'm sorry. I know this hurts. But you deserve to know. She clutched the folder to her chest, like it was all she had left of her sanity. And I walked away. I didn't look back. 2 days later, Lena showed up at my new place. How she found the address, I'll never know. Probably hacked into an old delivery order or some account we once shared. I opened the door slowly. She looked awful. Bags under her eyes, hair tied in a messy bun, no makeup, wearing one of my old hoodies like it was armor. Please, she whispered, don't shut me out. I didn't say a word. She stepped inside on her own, tears already gathering. Chase's wife found out. She left. Took the kids. He blames me for everything. He said I ruined his life. I leaned against the wall, arms folded. You did ruin someone's life. Mine. She looked at me then, truly looked, and I saw something new. Panic. Leo, I never wanted this. I stayed quiet. He said he loved me. He promised we'd be together if his wife ever left. Now he won't even answer my texts. I gave up everything for him. I cocked my head slightly. No, you gave up me, and now you're paying the price. She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. Don't, I said. Don't even pretend to care now. You can't just throw away 2 years, she cried. You threw them away first. And then I pulled out the final piece of my revenge. From the table, I picked up the manila envelope and handed it to her. What is this? Open it. Inside, a letter. A copy of the legal complaint I filed for intentional infliction of emotional distress, alongside an official notice from her university friend, Tasha, the one she had lied about seeing. The letter read, To whom it may concern, I did not see Lena Hart at any time between March 12th to 17th. Any claims otherwise are false. She dropped the paper like it burned her. You planned all of this? No, Lena, I said softly. You did. Lena stood frozen in my living room, her mouth slightly open as if air had just been knocked out of her lungs. The envelope trembled in her hands. She hadn't expected this. She thought I'd rage, scream, maybe even cry. But I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of emotion. No, I was giving her consequences. This is cruel, she finally muttered. Cruel, I echoed. What's cruel is watching your wife lie to your face while she kisses another man's neck in hotel elevators. What's cruel is not knowing whether those nights she came home smelling like sandalwood and wine were because she was having a drink with her friend or screwing someone else. Cruel is pretending like you don't see it because you're afraid of what the truth might shatter. She looked down, her shoulders folding inward. I continued, my voice steady. But now I know. And now you get to feel what it's like to be the one left wondering. She tried again. I messed up, Leo. I know that. I panicked. You were always working, and I... Stop, I said sharply. Don't you dare justify it. You didn't just mess up. You built a life around your betrayal. You lied for over a year. You made me believe we were trying for a baby while planning spa weekends with him. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't care anymore. Her tears were currency she'd already spent on someone else. Leave, I said. We're done. But she didn't move. Instead, she sat on the edge of the couch, like she was trying to reclaim a spot that no longer belonged to her. I've lost everything. My friends. My reputation, they know. Charlotte posted everything on social media. My inbox is full of people calling me a liar and a homewrecker. I didn't respond. I wouldn't comfort her. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her reckoning. She cried harder now. I can't go back to my job, Leo. They saw it. My former boss emailed me and told me not to bother reapplying. He said it's a bad look for the firm. That's not my problem, I said coolly. I was stupid, she shouted. I thought I was falling in love with someone new, but it was just stupid lust. It wasn't real. You were real. You always were. I leaned in, my tone dropping to a whisper. Funny. I used to say the same thing about you. Her face crumpled, and I watched her break. But I wasn't done yet. The next day, I met with my lawyer, Maya Patel, a no-nonsense woman with a silver tongue and sharper instincts. She'd handled nasty divorces before, but when I showed her the compiled evidence, texts, images, timelines, even proof of Lena's financial transactions using my money to fund those getaways, she smiled. "This is airtight," she said. "You'll walk away clean." "I want her to walk away with nothing," I replied. Maya didn't flinch. "Then that's what we'll do." She filed a petition to freeze the joint accounts. We also submitted documentation proving Lena's financial misuse. Since most of the assets were in my name, our condo, my stocks, my car, she had no leverage. Lena, once so poised and proud, was now fighting to survive in a world she had scorched herself. But I wasn't done. Not yet. A week later, I paid a visit to her parents. Yes, her parents. They had always liked me. In fact, they'd once called me the best thing that ever happened to Lena. I waited until her father, Dale, was alone on the porch before I approached. He looked up, startled. "Leo, I won't stay long," I said. "But I thought you should know the truth before she paints a different picture." And I handed him a folder. He flipped through it, his expression tightening with every page. When he was done, he didn't say a word, just rubbed his face, then muttered, "Goddamn. She'll tell you I left her without reason." I added, "That I gave up." "But I didn't." "She did." "I believe you," he said quietly. "I always warned her. Don't mistake comfort for weakness. You didn't deserve this." It wasn't about vengeance anymore. It was about truth. Making sure every corner she tried to retreat to had already been illuminated. No hiding. No sympathy. Only facts. That weekend, I threw away the last box of her things. And that's when something unexpected happened. I cried. Not because I missed her, but because I realized I had stopped missing her. I cried for the man I used to be. The one who believed love was enough. The one who brought flowers on random Tuesdays and wrote letters during meetings because he missed his wife. That man had died the night I saw her with Chase on the sidewalk. I cried for him. And then I let him go. Lena called again 2 days later. Block number. I picked up out of curiosity. Her voice was flat now, like all the tears had dried up and left nothing but bitterness. "You really think you've won, huh?" I smiled slowly. "This isn't a game, Lena. But if it were, yes, I've already won. You ruined my life." "No, Lena. You did that. I just made sure no one missed the show." She was quiet for a moment. "Then, I'll fight this." "I hope you do," I said. "Because I've got lawyers who love a fight. Especially when the other side's got nothing left but a story no one believes." I hung up. Later that night, I got a message from an unknown number. It was from Chase. A single line. "You had no right." I replied instantly. I had every right. And attached a photo. Him kissing Lena at the hotel spa. Time-stamped, dated, undeniable. No response. I never heard from him again. But I didn't need to. The silence was confirmation that I had cut him just as deep. It had been nearly 2 months since I left Lena, but the aftershocks of her betrayal still echoed in strange moments. In the stillness of morning coffee, I'd sometimes hear her laugh in the back of my head, until I remembered it was fake. Every intimate moment we ever shared was now blurred with doubt. And yet, I was beginning to breathe again. Peace had returned, slowly and cautiously, like a wounded animal. I started running in the mornings. Therapy once a week. I even reconnected with my brother, who I hadn't spoken to in nearly a year because of how consumed I was with Lena. She tried calling a few more times. I ignored her. Then she started emailing. Desperate. Apologetic. Then angry. Then apologetic again. A classic cycle of guilt and manipulation. One I had finally become immune to. And then, the email that almost made me laugh out loud. "Leo, I've lost everything. My parents won't even speak to me. Chase has completely disappeared. I don't even know where he lives now. I have no job, no friends. I just want to start over. I know I messed up, but can we meet once? Just one real conversation. Closure, if nothing else. Closure." She was asking for closure from a man she'd buried alive. I drafted a reply. "You don't want closure, Lena. You want forgiveness. But I'm not your priest. I'm the grave you dug for your old life." I didn't send it. I didn't have to. Some ghosts are better left haunting the living. That week, I got a call from Maya, my lawyer. "She's contesting the divorce," she said flatly. "She doesn't have grounds," I said. "We both know that. She knows it too. But she's trying to delay it. She's requesting mediation." My jaw clenched. Let her waste her time. I'll bring the receipts. The mediation was scheduled a week later in a downtown office. I arrived early, suit pressed, head clear. Lena arrived late, disheveled, her once glowing confidence now replaced by worn-out excuses and smeared mascara. She barely looked at me. Good. Maya went first. She calmly laid out the case. Documented infidelity, financial misconduct, emotional manipulation. She cited my evidence like bullets in a loaded chamber. Lena tried to argue she was emotionally neglected. The mediator, a gray-haired woman with eyes like knives, didn't flinch. You committed sustained infidelity, Ms. Hart. That is not neglect. That is cruelty. For once, Lena said nothing. By the end, it was clear there would be no alimony, no split of assets. She walked away with her clothes, a few keepsakes, and the echoes of a home she burned down herself. And I walked out a free man. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from Charlotte Dalton, Chase's wife. It was handwritten. Leo, you didn't just save me. You woke me up. I would have spent years blaming myself, trying to fix him. But you gave me truth. That's more than most people ever get. I've filed for divorce and taken the kids. I've started my own business too. Just wanted you to know, you're not the only one who came out stronger. Gratefully, Charlotte. I held the letter like it was gold. This was justice. Not courtroom victories. Not social shame. Liberation. 3 months passed. I had settled into a quiet life. A new apartment. A few new friends. I wasn't dating. Not seriously. I wasn't ready. But I was learning to love my solitude. I started teaching a night class. Introduction to Architectural Theory. My students were fresh-faced, hopeful. Every time I stepped into that lecture hall, I remembered what it felt like to build something that mattered. One night, after class, I stopped at a little Italian cafe I'd never noticed before. A woman behind the counter handed me a cappuccino with a smile that wasn't forced. Rough day? She asked. I chuckled. You could say that. Want to talk about it? She asked. I looked at her. Honest eyes. No games. Maybe someday, I said. Her name was Eva, and she didn't know a single thing about my past. And that felt like hope. Meanwhile, Lena was falling apart publicly. One of her mutual friends, an old co-worker of mine, called me. Have you seen her Facebook page? I hadn't. I'd unfollowed her months ago, but curiosity got the better of me. Her once curated feed was now a graveyard of vague sadness. Photos of empty wine glasses, inspirational quotes, a selfie with a caption. Some people are only meant to teach you pain. Her comments were filled with pity from strangers and silence from those who actually knew her truth. She was alone. Truly, deeply, deservedly alone. But I didn't feel joy. I felt nothing. And nothing is more powerful than rage. Nothing is the final victory. One night, I got one last email from her. Subject line. You win. I'm moving. I need a fresh start. You were always right. I just didn't want to admit it. Maybe one day you'll forgive me. But I don't expect it. You don't owe me anything. I hope you're happy now. Lena. I didn't respond. There was no anger left. No revenge left to plan. Because I had already won. Not by breaking her, but by rebuilding myself. Lena didn't just cheat. She erased who I was, piece by piece. But the thing about destruction, it clears the ground for something stronger. And in the end, I didn't just get justice. I got freedom. And freedom is the kind of revenge that leaves no blood behind. Only silence. The kind of silence that says, you never broke me. You freed me.